Hey everyone, and welcome back. I thought I was done, but that ain't happening.
Nope.
I ain't about that done life. I'm still here. So we actually have and go ahead and move in on me, buddy.
Nope.
Gotta get closer to me.
Nope.
Gotta get closer to me. You know, so that this way we were here. Anyway, hi everyone, I'm Golden Boy. This is Complexity's coach, one of my favorite people, Mr. X.
Yeah, that's me.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing today, Golden Boy? How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah.
Ready to cast some COD.
I'm ready to cast some COD with you because that's fun.
Well, we have actually it is going to be Strictly Business going up against Atomic, and Strictly Business, a team that very, very talented squad. 4 players that I've known for quite a while here. Sensor, a former national champion in Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Too Quick, former Complexity member.
Fears, former Complexity member.
Fears as well, former Complexity member. Apathy also just Too Quick and Apathy have always been kind of like a duo of sorts. So I mean, let's see here what's going to come from these two teams here. Don't know much about Atomic, but off the break though, you can already see Strictly Business coming out strong. And Strike Zone Domination. Give me a rundown on this one. What do you like about it?
Strike Zone Domination, I really like that. It's one of the smaller maps that we play. It really just forces tons of action. And you're going to see tons of just great submachine gun play on this map. And one thing that you notice about this SB squad, Golden Boy, is that they have a ridiculous amount of slaying power with all their guys. They really don't have an objective player.
Really?
No, I mean, I would say all of these guys are pretty much slayers. I would say Doug is Sensor's pretty much doing the objective work. But, I mean, with Fears and Too Quick and Apathy, there's just a lot of slaying with this team.
But I think that is something that can come into favor of Strictly Business because of the fact that you have the low health in Ghost in comparison to other Call of Duties, and Apathy they're able to pick up 1. He is currently going to be 3-1 right now. But yeah, I really do feel like it's something that can benefit you a little bit. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just my perspective.
I think especially on domination, this game, it's so much about slaying that you need guys that can hold off one part of the map. And a player like Fears and a player like Too Quick with those ARs they usually run, that they can hold off like a whole section of the map, and then you're only dealing with 2 or 3 ways. And that's big in Ghost because the maps are pretty much large. That's
very true there. And now Sensor on your screen, he is going to get taken out. A push is going to happen over by C. Fears, I don't think it was, actually ends up finding a player over by the middle. He looked like he was going to go over for the rotation, but they want to try and keep them spawned inside of B here for that spawn trap. Doesn't seem to be the case there. Some players do manage to break out. C was going to be contested, but back at it again, as seems like Strictly Business have been able to keep them inside of there. But A is actually going to be contested. 2 players on there, as that is going to get neutralized. And Strictly Business back on the attack again, able to cap that one, and they have the 2 cap.
Yeah, and right there, I would have liked to see them neutralize the flag, and then, or even just show that they were out and get a bump on the flag and force a rotation, and then pick up some kills. But I understand the situation that they're in because you're down 47-19. You need points, so I understand that play there.
It's kind of like a desperation maneuver, but you do kind of got to think about the baiting, which is something that some players just oftentimes forget about. And I mean, it's unfortunate, right? It's unfortunate it kind of worked out that way. But let's see. I mean, Atomic, they have plenty more to play here. They're currently going to be down by that is going to be 32 points, I believe, at this point in time. So not the best of looks for them. But Strictly Business, they are on the money here. Fear is currently going to be 10-5, definitely living up to that slaying potential that you and I were talking about earlier.
Fears, a lot of our guys, Complexity, I mean, Pat and Tyler have teamed with him for numerous Call of Duties, and they have always told me that beginning of the game, Fears is the best player in the game. He is so naturally talented. He's just a slayer, a dominant slayer. And, I mean, right now you're seeing it.
Yeah, I was talking about that at the start of our Bravo Stream show with Benson. We were talking about Saint from SOAR. He's also one of those guys too, who's like really, really good at just picking up the game at the start of it, and then just going above and beyond. Granted, though, sometimes they end up faltering. Talent's still there, but they certainly are ahead of everyone else at the start of the game.
Absolutely, and I don't even think it's a talent thing towards the end of the game. I think it's really just a commitment issue.
True that.
The game comes out, you're really good, you really enjoy it for the first 2-3 months, and then it's hard to keep that grind going, and that's where you really see a lot of players just lose. They don't lose skill throughout the season; they just lose interest, and then your skills start to go down a little bit.
Yeah, and the most important thing is to have fun.
Right.
I always tell that to everyone. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy what you're doing. That's the key to everything. If you love what you're doing, then everything else just becomes that much easier. But now taking a look here, 83-42 as the boys in Strictly Business are going to be up by over 40-plus points at this time. And Too Quick also slaying on the other side of their former Complexity member. He is going to get taken out, but still, I mean, you got to talk about Too Quick's prowess, in this game, in Call of Duty in general. He has just always been such a consistent player when it comes to slaying.
Right.
But his fault has always been that he sometimes doesn't play well with others.
Right.
Which makes this team interesting, because I was talking about this with Vanquish and TP, and how the combination of Realize, Dito, and Fizzer, that's interesting, because you have 3 very emotional, very vocal players. Yet over here, it's kind of like the same thing. I mean, you have Sensor, Fears, and Too Quick, who they can get mad at a moment's notice, but they seem to be composing themselves very well.
Right. No, you can see that they're extremely confident, and they're just laid back, and they're enjoying themselves. And I think this is a perfect team to have at the beginning of a game. You know, when the game first comes out, these are some of the best players, and together, I mean, they're really just showing it the whole time. They're just slaying ridiculously, and
I didn't get to see the score on that one. What was it? It was like
it was a lot to not a lot.
Okay, all right. Well,
you can just write that down.
I think it was like plus 40 on that one.
Yeah, it was like plus 40, something pretty absurd. I think you're gonna have to see Atomic come out and almost recap for most of the game to have a chance.
It's crazy when you keep them locked into B. It's nuts, because, and by the way, Too Quick, 20-7.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
And then on the other side of that, you have Fear, 16-9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's 2 players that are locking down sides of the map, and the other team is forced to either just keep feeding them, or you have to break one of the other 2 players. And Sensor and Apathy are both very good players too, so it's an extremely difficult situation for Atomic.
Atomic do have a lot of work ahead of them here, as we're going to wait for this next game to start up. Atomic and company, they're going to ponder on what they want to do here. Strike Zone, of course, a very fast-paced map.
Yeah.
Moves quickly, and this is like Slayer's Paradise practically.
Right.
So that's why I think definitely the thriving in this situation from Strictly Business, it's simply evident. Yeah.
At the start here, you're going to have to see Atomic really push for Strictly Business's flag. They're going to need to get that either store push or the bridge push right away.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to at least contest or neutralize their home flag in order to win. I think that's what you're going to...
They really need to get like you said, the store and the bridge, right? You got to start, you just got to consider that. And I hope they do. So let's see here as the matchup is about to begin. I want to go ahead and follow the boys over on Atomic. Let's see what they could do. Actually, Valor has a pretty favorable spawn here, as well as Riptides. I would say Plum and Sweets would just run straight over for their home flag. Go ahead, cap C, and then let Valor and what is this? Valor and Riptides just make their way over store and bridge. So they have the spawn. They should do that. I want to see if they do that.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed from this Atomic team that I really don't like, especially for Strike Zone, is that they're running 2 ARs and 2 subs.
Okay.
Strike Zone's extremely small. You really only need 1 AR for Strike Zone.
And you see right there, Riptides ends up pushing up. And let's see, Atomic ends up going around. So they end up only sending 1 player over by the store. That was actually going to be Plum, if I'm correct. No, who do they send over by the store? I mean, even then, it doesn't really matter at this point, as it seems as if Strictly Business, they are not able to cap B, not go over and cap A, but looking here though, Fears is going to be on the run, as Too Quick's going to be the last person left alive here. Sensor ended up getting dropped on that one. Too Quick hanging out over by boxes, seeing if anyone's going to creep around the corner here.
I like the start from Atomic, but at the same time, I really would have liked to try and get them trapped in bar, because if Strictly Business can make a successful push for this A flag and take it, then they're going to be in the same situation as last round, where they're going to keep spawning in that bar room Golden Boy.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the problem that I'm seeing here. Again, they're allowing that to happen. They have the spawns. If I would have been in that situation, I would have said, all right, I need to push bridge, you need to push store. We got to push them on their home flag. But now, as you can clearly see, Strictly Business have the spawn. Yet again, Too Quicks on the head glitch. Apathy on the other side. He's going to be watching the front doorway. And then you have Sensor, who's lingering over by C. It does get neutralized. There is going to be a player hanging out around there. Sensor is going to get taken out. This could be the opening that they possibly wanted here, as Sweet manages to push out. But they have to pick up the kills there, and unfortunately not able to make their way down to C. They're back at B again.
Yeah, now you're going to see them. They're just trapped in B, and they're really not even making an attempt to go out. I mean, you see, I'm on with Riptides. I can't see him on your screen, but I mean, he was in kitchen. He thought about going out through there. He saw, I think it was Fears pre-firing, and now he's back in here. And they were down by so much last game that they can't afford to play this defensive and keep spawning in bar right
They
now.
have 3 minutes to work with here,
Yeah.
plus 40 almost to deal with. That's never a good thing. And let's see, Riptides, he's going to be making his way out here. No one's going to be by C. So they know that, right? They know you could see Strictly Business thinking, all right, we got to go ahead and fill the gap. And there you go, right by the bridge. He does not look over by the bridge. That ends up costing him on that one. Strictly Business very good on that rotation to watch over by the bridge side. That is exactly what is needed here in order for you to come up big in this open bracket. Strictly Business, everything is just working lovely for them.
Yeah, and I mean, you can just see they're just really dominant right now against Atomic. I mean, Too Quick 4-0, Fears 7-5, Sensor 8-3. They're just really outslaying them. And you know, the Atomic guys, they started off much better this round than they did last round. Last round they came out they were probably a little flustered. You know, they're playing against some veteran players, some known players. And I think this round they really need to come out and be a little more aggressive.
Yeah, but you can see though that the score is already starting to tell the story in itself. Where Strictly Business, and now it seems as if they're just going to go in there try and get B. Honestly, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about this because I feel like Atomic, they you know, when they get in those 1v1 gunfights, you can tell that they're getting anxious and challenging. And when you're playing against, you know, players like Too Quick, playing against players like Sensor, you can't get challenge happy. You have to play reserve. Let them use their aggression against them so that you can come up with that W.
Right. And it's one thing that you see from a lot of players against some of these professional players, like, you know, that Too Quick and all these guys have been playing for a long time, is that when you're a team like Atomic, the game feels a lot faster than it actually is when you're playing against people like this. And, you know, if you're trying to rush and just play how you normally play, it's going to get too frenetic, and then your communication breaks down. And then what you really want to do as a team just kind of goes all out the window, and then you have people running here, people running there.
Yeah.
And that's really the difference between some of these top teams and AM teams.
Well, and then you talked about the frenetic speed of the game, right? That's the pacing. That's the pacing being controlled by the other team.
Yeah.
Right? They know exactly that the other team is going to be really nervous, and they're going to feed off of that energy, thus maintaining that speed. But now, as we were talking about it here, it seemed as if Atomic were able to get A. This is the start to something, if this was the beginning of the game, that could have really worked out well for them. Again, go after C. Stop going after B. It's not a necessity at this point. Keep them inside of B. And it seems as if Atomic, they just quite haven't found their groove yet. And I think what they need to do is, you know, as the time starts ticking down here in this domination game, go and look at some of the other players play domination. See how they play it. Learn off them, you know, like off of their mistakes, and also learn from their winning as well. Like learn from what they're putting out there. So
especially on this map too, because this map you primarily want to hold an A and C cap and force them in there. And what we saw from Atomic is they were trying to hold their own flag and the B flag, and that's something you don't see from a lot of teams, if any.
Yeah, and there you have it there. So you said a lot to a little in that last game, and 99 to 62 here.
That's a lot to not a lot.
Yeah, it's about, what is that,
I think,
30?
Yeah, I think we can call
points.
this SB a lot to Atomic.
Not a lot.
Yeah, a medium amount of points.
Well, let's see if Atomic, again, Search and Destroy now. We talk about pacing. Search and Destroy is that game type. That pacing is everything, right? Round by round. Take it round by round. So, you know what? We could very well see Atomic surprise the crap out of us and come up big with a W.
No, absolutely. Search and Destroy is one of those games that it's all based on strategy. You can win rounds based on just outsmarting the other team and just have a little better positioning, a little better idea of what you want to do. So I can definitely see Atomic coming out here and maybe using Strictly Business's aggression to their advantage right here.
Let's see if they're going to be able to do that, guys. So do not go anywhere. We're going to get game 2. No. Don't leave. Why would
stay right here?
Stay hither. All right, guys, so we're going to get game 2 started up in just a second. It's going to be Search and Destroy. We don't know what the map is just yet, but we will find out in a little bit. And we will see you guys in just a few. Don't go anywhere. I'm Golden Boy. This is Mr. X from Complexity. See you in a little bit.